I'm Dr. Jon Dabach, and in today's short talk, we're going to discuss why married men often have no or little friends. It is more common than not that men have very few friends in a relationship. Now, sometimes it's reversed. I'm not going to pretend that it's like this in every relationship. Sometimes men have a bunch of friends and women have very few. I find that in those cases, just to get it out of the way, men usually have friends because they grew up in the area or they happen to be crazy extroverts and they're marrying a very introverted wife. But the norm is that men have fewer friends than their wife and sometimes no friends at all. Why does that happen? Why does that happen and how can you fix it? So the first one is time constraints. Men are still expected by almost everybody to earn a certain amount of money. So it's not just the job. There's also a lot of expectations on husbands to show up in many ways. I have another video on this, on this channel here, where you can watch the 10 different things that men are expected to provide in relationships today, and really like 7 of them were not expected previously. But things like emotional support, they're expected to co-parent, they're expected to help with the housework. And so now the job of a husband is much more involved. And men have it harder today as a husband than they really have ever had it in history. I'm not complaining, and I don't think men should complain either. I love my wife. I love my family. They're the center of my world. But it does take a lot more time than it used to. It used to be you had your friends. You didn't even show up to the childbirth. You would just kind of get a call at work. Hey, your wife had a baby, and that was it. But it's different today. Men are expected to really make the family the center of the world unless there's some very powerful CEO or politician or something where there's an understanding of the family that they have a duty to a higher cause or a bigger cause, not always higher, but a bigger cause. The second one is prioritization. So as a result of having all these responsibilities in a healthy relationship, men will prioritize their spouse and their children over social activities to a fault. So they don't know how to assert themselves as needing a social circle, and they just relegate themselves to always being with their kids, always being with their wives, and they're okay with it for a time. The problem is, as you get closer to your kids being teenagers, and as you get closer to to being empty nesters, especially, men will start feeling the pain of not having male camaraderie and really missing out on it. I have seen this even in my own life. I've always had a stable of 3 or 4 really solid friends, and we talk on the phone a lot. But in recent years, I've realized I need to see them more often, and I've expanded my social circle, and I make a point to going to dinners and doing things, and it really does make a difference in everything. It makes a difference in how you look forward to seeing your friends and venting about your relationship and getting advice and getting job opportunities sometimes. Not for me personally, but I see men will socialize and their network will open doors for them. It has a huge impact, huge impact. So prioritization is something that men just kind of sweep under the rug. And I would say in this instance is that one is really the man's fault. Right? So this isn't society pushing it onto you. It's your own fault for not saying, hey, I need friends. I need this. It's great that you want to be with the family, but don't fall asleep on this. Another reason that men have a struggle here is there's shifts in interests. You might have, as a single guy, love to go out to clubs or bars, and you grew out of it, right? Or concerts, you grow out of it. It's really funny whenever we don't go very often, but whenever my wife and I go to a concert of, an artist that we grew up liking, like let's say Dave Matthews or Billy Joel or something like that, and the crowd is older, it's a different experience. Like people aren't there doing crazy drugs and jumping into mosh pits. Everybody's sitting down and complaining that the benches at the Hollywood Bowl are hard on their back, right? It's a totally different crowd. You get older and your priorities shift and your interests shift. You might have been really into tennis or a sport that was like high impact, and you're not so into it anymore because it's difficult. There's a reason lawn bowling and pickleball are explosively growing. Well, more so pickleball are kind of explosively growing in the older communities. They're easier on your joints. Yeah. So learning that your interests are going to shift and really embracing that you have to look for new interests is a big part of it. There's also an emotional investment. People don't talk about this, but men are really expected to be less expressive emotionally and more of that rock. It is changing. It's changing more and more. But when you're investing all of the emotion that you are either allowed to have or that you're able to express in your relationship, there's just less for friendship. So if your wife happens to be someone who needs a lot of emotional attention, as most people do. I mean, I'm not trying to single out, your wife as being emotional, but most relationships need that. And your kids are, going through a tough time. If you then get a phone call from your friend saying, man, I really need to talk, that could be hard for some men. And so they just don't go there. It's a reality. There's also social expectations. Men are expected to be self-reliant. And that is kind of instilled in you at a very young age, right? What is your career? What are you going to do? That whole mentality is pushed on you very young. And so unless you were particularly involved in sports and team mentality and like social clubs growing up, there is this self-reliance that even in those cases, but a little bit less so if you were super into sports, but even with those, there's this idea that you have to be a self-made man. And so men need to typically learn how to be alone and more comfortable being alone quicker and more aggressively than women are kind of expected. And so that usually leads to having fewer friends. I mean, that's just kind of a bottom line. And the last reason I'll mention that men have fewer friends when they're married is there isn't a built-in social circle. When you're young, you go to high school, you go to college, making friends is easy because you're sitting with new people in classes all the time. And unless you have a job, I would say sales is a good example where you're meeting new people all the time. The chances of you being exposed to new people to make potential, connections with decreases exponentially once you settle into a career. And that just takes the opportunity away. So before I get into how to fix all this, I just want to encourage you, if you're enjoying this content, to leave a like, leave a subscribe, leave a comment if you're listening to the podcast on iTunes, or leave a comment down below if you're on YouTube. It really does help the channel, and let me know what you want to hear me talk about moving forward. So let's talk about different solutions, different things you could do to change this, right? This is incredibly valuable for men, but also for their wives, right? If you see that your husband doesn't have a social life and you feel like it's missing, these are things you can do to encourage him to go and step out of his comfort zone. So number one is to make aggressive, be a little more aggressive about scheduling stuff with your friends. A lot of people feel like friendships and hanging out with friends should be spontaneous, where there's only a 1 or 2 day, lead time before you say, hey, let's hang out tomorrow night or Wednesday night. You can schedule stuff weeks in advance with friends. If you're the kind of person that has a busy life, there's nothing wrong with saying, listen, I haven't seen you in a while. I really want to see you. I'm busy, but let's get something on the calendar so that we both have something to look forward to. Even if it's a month out, there's nothing wrong with that, right? You have to learn that that's okay, and that as you have more responsibilities, that's actually a healthy way to make sure that you meet with, your friends on a pretty regular basis. I have a group of friends where we try once a month to have dinner, but someone has to schedule it, right? Someone has to send the group text out or the group WhatsApp out. Another thing you could do is force yourself into new social environments. Join clubs, join groups, whether they're religious, political, hobby-based, doesn't matter. But start joining up to meet new people, to connect and provide opportunities for connection. Stay in touch. Even if you're not meeting people, reach out to them and talk over the phone. A little text message and email makes a big difference. If your family is something that is really clinging to you and you feel like you can't divorce it, have family days, right? Have barbecues where you can invite your friend and their family and let the families intermingle. And then most importantly, be open about your needs with your spouse and see what they can do to help you with the process, whether it's meeting friends, new guy friends through parenting. Maybe she can invite some of the friends that she met at school along with their husband. A lot of people make friends that way, or suggesting you reconnect with old friends. Facebook is fantastic for that. But you want to have an open dialogue about this. Having a social life is important, and oftentimes when you make good friends with a man, if the wife gets along with your wife, fantastic. Now you have a couple friend. Now you have someone you might want to go on vacation with or do double dates with. There's nothing more fun than if I go out with my wife and she's friends with the wife and I'm friends with the husband and we both get along. And sometimes the conversation involves all four of us, and sometimes we're off. The women are talking and the men are. That's a fantastic night out. And then we reconnect throughout the night to joke. It's great. But in order to do that, you have to find couples that you actually mesh with. I hope this was helpful. My name is Dr. Jon Dabach again, and I will see you next time.